Respected Swamiji, Swami Hariprasad Swamiji, and the organizers of Sri Vishnu Mohan Foundation, and also the Gnana Advaita Peetham. My pranams to Sathguru Swamini, Gnanananda Sarasvathi ji. And well, at the outset, I should tell you that I was very much moved by the caption, especially the smaller the Krishna, the greater the power. That's absolutely true, because you can see that even in his childhood, that he was very small, but yet so powerful. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he has showed his Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, which all of us know, that he could exhibit even when he was small. When he opened the mouth and showed the mouth to the foster mother, Yashoda, he showed the universe. So the only difference is that the universal form was shown in chapter number 11, Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita, whereas the universe was shown to the foster mother Yashoda when he opened the mouth as a small kid. So the Swamini was absolutely correct. Sadhguru Gnanananda Sarasvathi ji was absolutely correct when she said, the smaller the Krishna, the greater the power. Well, coming to my paper, it's a very short paper only. Infant Krishna gladdens our heart. We all know that, by way of his charms and childhood flamboyance. He sits firmly in our minds, owing to his childhood exploits, like the killing of Putana, annihilation of Shakatasura, the demon who has come in the form of the cart, and so many other demons he killed, even at a very young age as infant Krishna. And the subjugation of Kaliya, the Kaliya Mardana, just to mention a few. Many a poet in the past has described the sports of Balakrishna in his work. I congratulate the previous speaker, Madam Lin, who spoke so nicely about the exploits of young Krishna and the power which he had displayed to great Alvars, especially Thirumangi Alvar. Wonderful paper that was. And now, these poets who I said include Lilasuka and Sukumarakavi. Lilasuka wrote the very popular Krishna Karnamrita, and Sukumarakavi was very famous and is very popular in Kerala. He wrote the Krishna Vilasaka, again speaking about the place of Krishna as a child, and also some other aspects are there in that Kavya. And these two works I took. I'm not going to quote many, of course, but just going to give you a few verses here and there with meanings. So, and these two works speak about the lovely charms of infant Krishna and his childhood prowess. I use the word prowess because the equivalent word you can say to power, exhibited during the destruction of demons in a very creative manner. This short paper deals with the manner in which Balakrishna's childhood exploits were described in the above works through some quotations and their meanings. Just only one shloka I took from Lilasuka's Krishna Karnamrita. It has got many shlokas, but this one, it appealed to me much. Just you can see this shloka in the very beginning of the work. Chaturya eka nidhana, chaturyaika nidhana seema, chapala apanga, chata mandaram, lavanyamrita vichi lalita drisham, Lakshmi Kataksha Adrutam. Lakshmi Kataksha Adrutam. Kalindi Pulinangana Pranainam, Kamavatarampuram, Balam Neelamami Vayam, Madhurima, Swarajyam Maha. So, of course, Lilasuka uses tough words, some kind of artificial poetry you can see, because just to exhibit his poetic talent. You can see words like Chata Mandaram, etc. What does he say here? He says, we worship infant Krishna. How is he? Balam. He's just a child, very small in size. Neelamami. And he's of blue hue. Hue means color, blue color. And how is he? He is the ultimate limit of cleverness. Krishna was very clever, even as a child. You know how he took away what is called the butter, etc. And so many other leelas he exhibited. Chaturya Ekanidhana. Chaturya Ekanidhana Siva. He was the very ultimate boundary of talent, real talent. And how was his apanga? How was his side glances? How were his side glances? Krishna's side glances carried nectar with them, real nectar. That is why we get easily attracted by Krishna. My dear listeners, it's always true that one gets carried away by the side glances. So side glances are very powerful, and in the case of Krishna, they are very powerful that we get dragged easily. That is why Krishna is appealing to us. That he mentions in this wonderful Lavanya Amrita Vichi Lalita Drisham. Drisham means eyes. How are they? Fondled by, eyes are fondled by the glances that looked like nectar. Lakshmi Kataksha Adrutam. Kataksha Adrutam. And how is Krishna? He is respected by even Lakshmi. Lakshmi Kataksha. Glances of Lakshmi. Lakshmi also tends to look at Krishna with reverence. So that is the meaning here. Wonderful words. Kalindi Pulinangana Pranainam. And Krishna enjoys sporting on the banks of Yamuna. Kalindi means Yamuna. He shows a lot of interest in playing on the sands. Pulina means sands. On the sands of shores of Yamuna. Probably the same thing is now likened to young kids who would love to sport on the banks of the shores of the ocean or the river. Probably Krishna has given that, bestowed that kind of quality to young children. And Kamavatarampuram. Kama Avatarampuram. Kama Avatara means the birth of the incarnation of Kama. Kama means Manmata. Manmata is believed that he has incarnated as Pradyumna in the womb of Rukmini. Okay, so he is born to Rukmini and Krishna. Pradyumna. Pradyumna is none but the reincarnation of Manmata. Manmata was reduced to ashes, you know, by Lord Shiva. Then, how is this Krishna? So, who has put forth a son by name Kama, namely Pradyumna? That's it. This is the shloka. And then finally he says, Balam Nilamami Vayam. I told you about my very favorite poet, namely this Sukumarakavi. Why I rate him is that he is very good in his expressions, but unsung, as I told you. When I was telling so, the power went off. That is, we pay a lot of respect to poets like Kalidasa, Bhavabhuti, Magha, Sriharsha, etc. But these kind of poets are not given much attention. One such poet is Sukumarakavi. When I just explain one or two verses, you will definitely agree with me, I am sure. He says in his Krishna Vilasa Kavya, Mukta Bhava Madhurena Ranjayan Shaishavena Hridayam Prajokasam Gokule Sa Vijahara Keshavaha Kshira Vari Nidhim Api Achintayan. What a beautiful shloka. He says, wonderful verse. He says, infant Krishna. Shaishava. Shaishava means childhood. In his childhood, what he was doing? He was simply gladdening the hearts of cowherds. Shaishavena Hridayam Prajaukasa. Prajaukas means cowherds. So he was gladdening the hearts of the cowherds. Ranjayan, gladdening that. Mukta Bhava Madhurena. Madhurena, by the sweetness of his Mukta Bhava. Childhood in Tamil they say cheshtai, exploits, childhood actions. He was simply gladdening the hearts of all the cowherds. He was very much dear to the cowherds. And what did he do at that time? How did he feel? Gokulesa Vijahara. He sported in Gokula, where Nanda Gopa was there, Yashoda was there. So he sported in Gokula, Kshiravarinidhim api Achintayan, totally forgetting api even Kshiravari Nidhi means ocean, even Milky Ocean. That was his primary abode. Milky Ocean is his primary abode as Vishnu. So he forgot even his primary abode when he started playing, or while he was playing in Gokula. These are the wonderful thoughts of Sukumarakavi. Then he says, Vadanam, how was the young Krishna? I'm going to describe Vatapatra Shai. All of you might have seen, but it is always good to have Vatapatra Shai in homes. Krishna trying to suck his the toe, the bigger toe of the foot with his mouth. That is a very good picture to have at homes. And look at Sukumarakavi, how beautifully he portrays that particular scene. Vadanam Madhusudanaha Karabhyam Charanangushtam Upanayat Pipasuhu Galiteva Tata Surasravanti Nakamukta Mani Didi Tichalena. What does it mean? Vadanam Madhusudanaha. Madhusudana means Lord Krishna, the killer of the demon Madhu. Karabhyam, with his two hands. The child cannot hold only one hand, with one hand. So Krishna uses both his hands. Charana Angushtam, the bigger toe of the Charana foot. Upanayat, he pulled it, Pipasahu, with a view to drink. Child, no? Even in our homes, you can see young children doing that, kids doing that, or infants doing that. Galiteva Tata Surasravan. How did it look like at that particular juncture? It looked as if, I tell you, heavenly Ganges flowed in the guise of the rays that emanated from the pearl gem-like nail of the foot. See, all of us have the nails in the foot, but there are rays emanating from Krishna's nails of the foot. That rays that emanated from the nail appeared like heavenly Ganges flowing. So pure were even the rays that emanated from the nail of the foot of Krishna. That is how he described. Then elsewhere he says, Amrutamshuhu iva aparaha pramodam nayananam janayan sa Padmanabha. Sa Padmanabha. Who is Padmanabha? Vishnu. That is Krishna. Janayan, he generated pramodam, happiness, nayananam. Nayanam means eyes. He kindled the eyes of people around him. Amrutamshuhu iva aparaha. Aparaha, as if he is another Amrutamshu, moon. We all would not like to see the sun god directly, but we would all love to see moon directly, because moon emanates what is called, moon gives out rays of nectar. So Krishna appeared like, infant Krishna appeared like Aparaha Amrutamshu. Amrutamshu means another name for moon that gives out Amshu, rays of Amruta, nectar. So Krishna generated the happiness of the eyes of all the people, appearing like another moon. Clear? Oh, look at the words, how simple they are, as opposed to the words used by Lilasuka. Lilasuka was a very talented poet, and this particular poet exhibited his talent through ideas, fancies, poetic fancies. What is poetic fancy? Poetic fancy is utpreksha, imagining things. Poetry is nothing but imagining things in a healthy way. That is called poetry. So, and how was Krishna, young Krishna? They said, people said, you give me to my home. I will have it for 10 minutes. I will have him. Then another person came, another cowherd. No, it's time out for you. I would carry Krishna to my home, like that. Bhavanam bhavanat karau karabhyam prajayoshittihi aniyata ankam ankat. says Sukumarakavi. He was led from Bhavanat. He was led from one mansion to another mansion, Karo Karabhyam, from one pair of hands to another pair of hands, and Ankam Ankat, from one lap to another lap, Vraja Yoshidbihi, by the wives of the cowards. See, he was dear to all women. So they were all taking him from one mansion to another mansion, from one pair of hands to another pair of hands, and also from one lap to another lap he was transported. So that was how Krishna became the darling of the masses when he was young. And now with two more shlokas, I would wind up my short speech. Balakrishna's fascination for butter. The earlier speaker also mentioned it. His lovely hair. Krishna had a very lovely hair in his childhood. And his infallible friendship with Kuchela, Sudama. My dear viewers, Krishna's friendship with Kuchela is unquestionable and are aptly described in the following verse from Balakrishna Ashtakam. It's a rare work. Only Ashtaka, a collection of 8 verses, Balakrishna on Balakrishna, because this webinar is on Balakrishna, written by Jivanesha. Jivanesha is a good poet. And all poets are good. They all had talent. Poetry does not come out just like that. There has to be the blessing of Sarasvathi. Jagannatha Pandita, in his Rasagangadhara, said that by 2 things one can have pratibha. Pratibha means creativity. Mahapurusha Devata Prasada. One, either we should have the favor of Mahapurushas. Then we can start writing even at a young age. If we don't have that, then we can rely on 2 more things. What are they? Vyutpatti and Abhyasa. Vyutpatti means constant practice, reading of books, constant practice of writing, reference to dictionaries, and Abhyasa, training. If we have these 2, constant reference and practice, then also we can write poetry. So one should not give up hope. Poetry is possible at any age, provided we make an effort, at least relying on the second opportunity. First opportunity, all of us may not have what is called Mahapurusha Devata Prasada. Only a few of us may have. But all of us can practice and refer to books and other things. So that is a wonderful statement by Jagannath Pandita. I am just bringing out to your notice. So this wonderful shloka, Lilaya Kuchelamau Nipalitam Krupakaram Nila Nilam Indra Nila Nila Kanti Mohanam Bala Nila Charu Komalalakam Vilasa Gopala Bala Jara Chora Balakrishna Mashraye Gopala Bala Jara Chora Balakrishna Mashraye. Chora, thief. He is not a thief. He is a thief of 2 things. Thief of butter and thief of hearts. Then Lilaya Kuchela Mauni. Kuchela is mentioned. See? And how beautiful is it? See? And Charu Komalalakam. Alaka. Alaka means braid of hair. B-R-A-I-D. Braid of hair. So Komala, wonderful braid of hair Krishna had. Then the fact that Balakrishna is worshipped by Vibhishana. Balakrishna is worshipped by Vibhishana. What's that Balakrishna? How is he worshipped by Vibhishana? Don't take direct Balakrishna. Balakrishna is Vishnu. In the Sthapana that took place at Srirangam by Vibhishana. Even now it is believed that Vibhishana visits at the dead of nights to Sriranga to pay respects to Sriranganatha. So Vibhishana worshipped Krishna. So that is mentioned by this poet Jivanesha. Shesha Bhoga Shayinam Vishesha Bhushanojvalam Goshamana Kinkini Vibhishanadi Poshanam. Look at the words, how he plays with Sha, etc. Shoshana Kritam Budhim Vibhishanarchitam Padam Gopala Bala Jara Chora Balakrishna Mashraye. Gopala Bala Jara Chora Balakrishna Mashraye Vibhishanadi Poshanam, who was nourished, worshipped by Vibhishana. Vishesha Bhushanojvalam. So Krishna's liking for spectacular ornaments is mentioned here. Krishna is he's a lover of ornaments. So look at even the pincha, that itself is an ornament for him. And see how wonderfully described by it is described by Jivanesha. So I'm just summing up my paper. My papers usually are very short, so that I mentioned. Thus, we can see that infant Krishna is worshipped and praised by Sanskrit poets. Many poets have done that. We know so many other poets have done that. But here, I have given with a humble effort, with reference to only two poets, namely Lilasuka and Sukumarakavi, of the past in their lyrics. Apart from the above mentioned poets, I have to just bring your attention to one more before I wind up. There was a poet by name Satavahana. He wrote in Prakrit. It is not Sanskrit. And that's why I don't want to read it out. Gatha Saptashati. That is the name of the work. In that Gatha Saptashati, there is a shloka which can be translated into English as follows. Wonderful. Great imagination of poetry fancy. When infant Krishna caught hold of the breast of Yashoda, when infant Krishna caught hold of the breast of Yashoda with his pair of hands to drink milk, he recollected his conch, Panchajanya. And had horripilation on his body, that infant Krishna. So look at the poet's imagination. What an imagination. So, which shows that he will be using Panchajanya in this avatar also. Can you guess? Yes, your guess is correct. In the Kurukshetra war, Krishna blew his Panchajanya before the commencement of the war, followed by Dharmaraja and others. Bhishma blew from their camp, and Krishna started from Pandava's camp. So Krishna was reminded of the Panchajanya that he has to use it somewhere, even in this avatar. So probably towards the end of the avatar. Afterwards, you know what happened. Thank you so much for listening patiently. And